Hey guys, I'm here to do a review for the final episode of Glee. So so I'm gonna be splitting this into part one, part two. This is the part one version. Everything's all gonna be in one video, but this is the part one video, titled 2009. So this is basically like the secret origins of the Glee Club, basically establishing Kurt Hummel, Artie, Tina, Rachel, and basically and Mercedes as well. Just basically establishing all these characters and how they began, and how they're going to, continue moving forward. Um, Honestly, I didn't like this episode. I thought it was high. I thought it wasn't needed. We did not need to know these secret origins. Season 1 did perfectly well at establishing these characters and their beginnings. And we just didn't really need to know what their origins were. And the characters that they selected, I kind of felt were purposely chosen because these characters are some kind of caricature for characters with characters who are considered minorities. That I really didn't need to know. I didn't need to know these characters as minorities. It wasn't needed. I don't feel like it should have been a part of the ending for Glee. And at least if you're going to establish characters, at least do characters that we didn't know much about. Like, talk about the early characters of Brittany. Talk about the early days of Santana. Hell, I would have loved to see the early days of Quinn Fabryan. Why she went down the path that she went with. And also Puck as well. Characters who we didn't know very much about if you were going to have a secret origins for the show. It really bothered me. And what annoys me most about this episode is it was glaringly obvious that Finn would have been included in this finale. And they reference him quite a lot. Now, I will of course mention the fact later on in this video about the whole Finn thing and about the show itself. It's just the last two seasons have done a lot with the actor's death. And the actor is a really good actor, and there's a really, really sweet moment where we actually get to see an extended version of Finn and Rachel singing together, and it was such a sweet moment. It's just, I felt like this show is all about moving forward and progression of oneself and the importance of being together, and that's not what this show does. Once again, it showed us exactly why this season is ending. Because when the actor of Finn died, it left a hole in the seasons, and unfortunately, I think it's also the fact that they keep referencing it. It's obviously sad, and but as a reviewing standpoint, you can't keep referencing that character constantly. And I will get to that in a little bit. Um, Also, I think the characters were generally unlikable. Like, season 1 showed these characters as really likable people, and they did not do that in this season. They did not do this in this episode. All of these characters were extremely unlikable, apart from Kurt, who was the only likable character. Just everyone was just really mean to each other, and that's not what season 1 showed us. Season 1 showed us likable characters who, yes, had flaws, but progressed into real adults. And that's not what this show did, and it bothered me. So, yeah. So now I'm gonna get on to part 2. This was so much better than part 1 was. I really, really liked this episode. Everyone got their moment to shine. Everyone got their moment to shine. There wasn't a statement being made like the first one was. And it was just really sweet. I think everyone ends up exactly where you would expect them to end up. Some of it, yeah, feels a little bit forced, but everyone ends up in the exact same place that you would expect these people to be in. We did get to see some characters who hadn't appeared. Quinn Fabray, Santana, and Brittany, they all appear. The new kids were also got, the kids from earlier years also got to appear, like Puck's brother and Kitty in that group, and the new kids as well. So everyone got their moment to be in the episode, and what they established in part 1 was carried through in part 2. Part 1 was all about showing the kids when they were young and naive, and part 2 really shows how far they've come, in this show as characters. So I did really, really like part 2. So yeah, just a really, really nice end to a good show. I have to comment just briefly on the last 2 seasons though. The last 2 seasons have very much focused on the death of Finn, and that, I think, is something that has brought the show down and the show's quality. Obviously, it's a very tragic death, but the show definitely really suffered because of it, and I didn't think it needed to, but it did. But the show ends all of that really, really nicely, so I'm happy to report that this show, that this show was successful. Because I was really afraid, judging by how this season has gone, that it wouldn't have been. But it was really successful and very emotional. That's something that Glee does very, very well, is it does the emotional aspects so well. Bit of a minor complaint though, Emma gets a bit jealous because Will hugs his ex-wife. That I didn't really think needed to be there, but other than that, it was a very, very good season finale. As an entire season, unfortunately, I think the new kids didn't get their moments to shine at all, and were very much a wasted opportunity. And I think the kids that came before these new kids that were established in this season, I think they should have at least had one appearance, and they were really underused. So all in all, Glee was successful, and I'm going to leave it at that. It's nice to see a show touch on the realism of the world, but still have that hope for the future. Because, hope for the future. So, I'm Robin, that's one here, and that is my review for Glee. Bye.